Let's Talk Business. We're a show that comes to you every day at 1 o'clock to bring you news of businesses, services, events going on in our area. Fresno, the Valley, the mountains, the hills, Yosemite, and even Mariposa. Welcome, Ken.
Yes, Mike. Nice
How do you
to
say
meet
your last name?
Boche.
Boche.
As if it were French.
All week we've been saying Ken Boche is coming, but it's Boche.
Yes.
And you're in Mariposa.
Yes.
And you take tours.
I take visitors into the park, and we show them we usually take them for a very long day. We want them to have good value, and so we leave Mariposa around 7:30 in the morning and get back around 6 or later, depending on interests and enthusiasm and energy. And that can be quite varied amongst a group of 10. We use small vans.
I was going to say, how many people do you take at once?
At most 10.
10 people.
We use small vans, so we have a really personalized tour.
Now, I go to Yosemite a lot. Drive in, we stop, look at the chapel, we sit outside the Ahwahnee Hotel a while, then we get in the car and drive home. What would be different about your tour?
Well, for one thing, we've had 2 winters of very little water runoff, and you talk to most people and they say, well, there are no waterfalls. But we stop at Wildcat Fall, and we stop at Cascade Fall, and from Glacier Point we can see...
But there are waterfalls.
There are waterfalls.
Okay.
They're not as well marked as like Bridal Veil and Yosemite Falls, which are the sort of iconic waterfalls of the park, or at least of the valley.
You just need to know how to find them. We've got some pictures here. Why don't we look at those? You could kind of tell us what's going on there. Okay,
well, these are groups of on the tours where I'd just be explaining what there is about the human and natural history. We start with the geology, and that's sort of the bedrock, so to speak. And how the rocks were formed and how they're breaking down, and that Highway 140 is in a rockfall zone the whole way through the park, and even before you get to the park, there's that Ferguson slide, which has the only stoplight in Mariposa County.
I'll be darned.
And there I'm just pointing out, probably talking about rocks and the cracks in the rocks and the plant seeds, the tree seeds. People are amazed that, there's trees growing right out of the solid rock.
Yeah.
But they're not actually out of the solid rock. Their seed is germinated in a little crack. And I explain the seed dispersal and also about how pine cones, there are 2 kinds of pine cones on every pine tree, and the male cones and the female cones, and windblown pollen. Most people... So
it's a lot different from the self-guided tour I get myself. We're sitting around the Ahwahnee. Now, this is a familiar picture here.
Yeah, that's standing over the map there, that brass map, at Tunnel View, they call it, and looking into Ahwahnee. Ahwahnee is the Ahwahneechee name for the valley, which translates now into place of a big gaping mouth. And so when you're looking into the valley, that's sort of the translation. A lot of the Miwok Indian place names are named for parts of the body. So.
Now, where are the people from who go on your tours? Are they all from California?
A few come from California. Most people who come from California to Yosemite live here, and they've been there before, but a lot of people have not. And but we get them from all over the United States, and a bunch from Europe, Northern Europe mostly, although Italy. We're getting a lot from Brazil and Australia, New Zealand, and India. And of course, there's a lot of people moving between India and the United States that come to California to work in the in the high-tech industry and go back, and they bring their families over. And so sometimes we'll get a whole van full of Indians. We had a bunch of Kuwaitis at one point, a whole family, and we get a really great variety.
Now, I'm always confused about this because I go to Yosemite from Fresno. If you go from Mariposa, you go up which road? Is that the 140?
Highway 140, yes.
And how long does it take to get, say, to the valley?
From Mariposa town, it's about 45 minutes to the edge of the park. We also stop in El Portel at the Cedar Lodge and the Yosemite View Lodges, and then into the valley. But we usually swing up into Tunnel View and go to Glacier Point early in the day.
Okay.
And save the valley for later in the day because of traffic, thunderstorms. We want to beat thunderstorms and traffic. So,
I can't believe how many people are from here who actually do make the trip to Yosemite. Well, I can't believe how many people are from around here who've never gone to Yosemite. But those that do, so few go to Glacier Point. Why is it important to see the Glacier Point?
Well, Glacier Point gives an overall view of the park. You can see all the way to Mount Lyell, the highest peak in the park on the eastern crest, and get a sense of the magnitude, even though you can't see all of the park really.
Most of us think of the park as the valley, but
Right.
it goes way back there.
Yeah, it goes way back. I mean, there are hundreds of miles of trails, more than 200 miles of trails for backcountry exploration. So we think of Yosemite as sort of the core. Yosemite Valley is the core of the park, but the park is so much bigger than that.
And do your tours get way beyond the valley, or just?
Well, we go to Glacier Point and tour the valley, and there's so many good stops in the course of from 7:30 in the morning to 7 at night maybe. We fill a day. And there's way more to do than, and we have to, we go, well, we have to choose between, I guess we'll do this today and not this.
Right.
And so we can vary our tours depending on people's interests.
Well, I think I'm going to go over to Mariposa, and I'm going to get the tour, because I go to Yosemite all the time. I don't know what I'm looking for, and, it'd be great to have a professional take me around and show me what's really going on there. How do people find you if they want to go on a tour?
Well, they find us in a number of ways. We have a website, YosemiteCloseUp.com. We have our office in the Visitor Center in Mariposa, there where the Chamber of Commerce has the Visitor Center, and so we have walk-ins. We also have people in the hotels in Mariposa and El Portal book for us, and so they find us in a number of ways.
So they might say, well, if you're here, you're going to go, and they say, we only have one day in Yosemite, can we see it the best? They might refer them over to you.
Correct.
And
absolutely right.
And they get the best of all of Yosemite. Now, are there people that book way in advance, or is everybody coming?
Yeah, we have online bookings.
So they could book
Yeah,
months and
they
months
could
in
book
advance.
months in advance. Usually that's not the case, but usually up to at least a couple months in advance.
Now, did you have a little effect when the national park closed down?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It wasn't good.
It's not good for business.
No.
For all of Mariposa, in fact.
Yeah, for all of Mariposa, because people stopped coming to the town, and then it opened up the latter part of October, but by then people had changed their plans and canceled their trips, and so even after the park opened, it's
because
been
they
slow.
didn't know how long it'd be closed or
Yeah.
anything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, what I always, around here we're saying, what effect did the shutdown have on me? Well, it didn't have any effect, but then I realized it hurt everybody's business over in Mariposa.
Right.
From one end to another.
And I'm sure Oakhurst and the east side, Mono County and Mammoth and Groveland. So all of the what we call the gateway partners, the people and communities and businesses that have an interest in the park but don't actually operate from the park.
Now, YosemiteCloseUp.com.
Yes.
Go to YosemiteCloseUp.com for more information. Book right on the site. Is that right? They can go right to that site and book?
Yeah.
Or drive over to Mariposa and say, I want to take a tour, and Ken will get you a tour.
Yeah, or call us. There are phone numbers, contact on the website, and yeah.
I see we have the website on the screen, YosemiteCloseUp.com. Now, we're running out of time, but I'm trying to stop and slow down on these interviews and say, is there anything I left out that you want to add?
Well, just that, because we have a very, we have a real extensive background. Like I wrote my master's thesis on forests and meadows in the Yosemite High Country, and so I'm not just somebody reading someone else's script like some tours are. And I did the 8th ascent of the nose of El Cap and the 14th ascent of the face of Half Dome as a rock climber. So I have first-hand experiences for people who are interested in, in rock climbing, which seems to be really an attention getter these days.
Yeah. Do you stop on the tour and point out people climbing the rocks?
Yeah, I know where the routes are because
Yeah.
I've climbed all the rocks by one means or another. So we go by Bridal Veil Fall, and I look at the Leaning Tower and pull out the binoculars and see if there was someone on the route, and if there is, then I share.
You know
the
where to look.
binoculars. I know where to look.
I can never find them, but you see all these people stop and looking and pointing. Are you still climbing rocks?
A little bit, yeah. Not like I used to, though.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ken Boche,
Boche.
like the French would say, and it's YosemiteCloseUp.com. It's a way, even if you're from Fresno, it's a great way to see Yosemite. You got a real expert and somebody who's been up the side of the mountain and knowledgeable. Anyway, thank you very much, Ken.
Thank you,
and
Mike.
we'll be back with more Let's Talk Business right after this.